okay, there's this God, okay, that was, eternity, he was, there was no beginning. It was just this God. There was no beginning that he was just like born or created. He was just there. And that first blows my mind. But then this guy decides that he wants to create something magnificent and unimaginable and so beautiful. And so as we all know, this God, he created the universe. And he spoke things into them. He spoke the stars. I don't think I've ever seen anyone speak stars. He spoke stars. He spoke light. He spoke oceans. And they were there. And that first blows my mind. And then he says, I want to make something like me. Stars are awesome, and light is awesome, and ocean is awesome, but I want to make something that's like me and my characteristics. And so he made us. And he started with Adam and Eve. And he made us. And as he was forming and he was making it, I kind of get the image of like a painter, as they create a beautiful masterpiece, or a potter as they use clay to mold it and make something tremendous. God did the same thing with us. He spent time just making a masterpiece, creating us. And while he was working on our hearts and our souls, he designed every single human being's heart and soul in a certain way. He designed every single one of us to desire connection with other people, and most importantly, connection with him, the Creator. That's what he made our hearts and our souls. He made that for that exact reason. To connect with other people, that makes sense why we have social media, and to connect specifically with him, the Creator. And as I was thinking about this series on Post-it, I thought about how many times I don't do that in social media. And this idea of connecting with the Creator, I get this image of Lord of the Rings. I don't know if any of you have ever seen Lord of the Rings, but if you haven't, it's great movies. The books I hear are really long, but the movies are really phenomenal, and I love watching them. I started watching when I was about your guys' age in middle school. And there's this, I'll just give you the preface of what it is. It's just this main character guy, his name's Sauron. And Sauron is actually the bad guy. But it starts off with Sauron creating something. He makes this ring. And he makes a bunch of other rings, but what he does, he makes this ring really special. He makes it to have powers. So when you wear the ring, you have these incredible powers that you wouldn't have had if you didn't have the ring on. Then he also makes the ring specifically to desire to be with him. So other people, if the ring comes off his hand and other people put the ring on, they can wear it and they'll have those powers. However, while the ring is on somebody else, it desires to be back with Sauron. And so Sauron at one point actually loses the ring, and someone else finds it and then puts it on and is like drawn in by the power that they get because of this ring. Then they lose it because they're actually killed, and someone else finds it, someone else finds it. And every single time that someone else finds it and wears it, the ring desires to get back to its creator, Sauron. And in the same way, God created our hearts to desire to be in connection with him, the Creator. And social media, I've found in my life, I don't always do that. The way I live out my social media, the way I use Facebook and YouTube, and when I had Instagram, was not always lining up with my connection with my heart with God. And with social media for me, I remember when I first got Facebook, one of the things I loved the most at that time was basketball. I love sports in general. I love playing sports, but one of my favorite things to do was play basketball. I played it for 3 hours a day. I would try and skip school to play basketball. I would miss out on different things so I could play basketball because I just enjoyed it and I loved it. I would play with my friends. I'd play with my neighbors. I'd play with my siblings. I'd play with my parents because basketball is like everything. And if you would go on my Facebook around that time, you would have seen that. You would have seen that on my Facebook, you would have seen I was posting videos of basketball players. I was posting videos of me playing basketball. I was liking different NBA players. I was liking people's photos of them dunking while they were playing basketball. And a lot of my social media was geared towards basketball. Simply because I liked it. Simply because that's what I liked the most in my life. That's what my heart was focused on. So that bled out, that overflowed into social media. And a lot of times that's the case with our lives. What is seen outward, whether it's on social media and other areas, is a lot of times reflecting what is on the inside. We say that again. What is seen outwardly, the image that we throw out there, maybe our profile pictures, maybe the way we speak, maybe the way we talk, maybe the way we interact with people, is reflecting what's on the inside of us. And actually, Jesus talks about this in the Bible. So what I'm going to ask you guys to do is, you all have Bibles under your chairs. So go ahead and grab your Bibles. And we're going to flip to a verse in the book of Luke. The book of Luke is a gospel written by Luke. And there's 4 gospels. And each one is kind of like an account of this guy named Jesus. It's kind of an account of his life of Jesus. And so we're going to read something that actually Jesus said. And so it's on page 560, the book of Luke, chapter 6, verse 45. Page 560, chapter 6, Luke, verse 45. Okay? And now let me read this to you guys, okay? So everyone be reading along. Let me read this. The good person, out of the good treasure of his heart, produces good. And the evil person, out of his evil treasure, produces evil. For out of the abundance of the heart, his mouth speaks. For out of the abundance of the heart, his mouth speaks. What this verse is saying is that, okay, if you are an evil person, then what's in your heart is evil. Then what comes out and everyone can see is what? Evil, that's right. Or if you're a good person, okay, then what's in your heart is good. Then what comes out that everyone can see that's projected out is what? Good, exactly right. And so there's kind of this progression, right? And so what Jesus is saying here is that he says, what overflows from your heart, is seen through your words. And so what he's saying is, what is in your heart is what actually comes out of your mouth. So if you are focused on one thing, then actually is going to come out of your mouth. For me, like for instance, I think of like my favorite song. There's a song out by Imagine Dragons right now that I have listened to in the last week probably 100 times. And I just love this song so much because I think it's so good. And everywhere I'm at, I'm trying to listen to it. I'm on the radio, I'm like, okay, that's not playing it, that's not playing it, I gotta switch, that's not playing it. Because I love this song, right? And every time I'm talking to people, I'm like, oh my gosh, have you heard this song? You have to watch this music video. This song is so good. And I'm like memorizing the lyrics. And I'm like, everywhere you see me, I'm either humming the song or singing the song because it's just in me and I just love it. Or what else? Or like for instance, a really good movie, right? Like when Batman 3 came out, Batman Dark Rises, what is it called? Dark Knight Rises, I'm sorry. Yeah, obviously I really love that movie. When it came out, when I went to theaters, I actually went Justin. And I was like, oh my gosh. I couldn't stop talking during the movie because it was so good. And then all the way through from the movie theaters out to the car, I was talking about it. And I was thinking about it. I was like, how did that work? How did that work? And then while I was in the car driving all the way home, I was like, oh my gosh, that part was crazy. I can't believe that happened. You see when Batman did that, and he said that. And then as I got home and I'm laying in bed, I'm going to sleep, I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm thinking about Batman. And I'm like, I just wish I was Batman. That's so cool. You know what I mean? And then the next whole 3 weeks, every person I see, I'm like, have you seen Batman 3? Have you seen it? So good. So good. Right? Because Batman was something that was just inside of me. And so then it overflowed into the rest of my life. We also do this with relationships. A lot of people start dating in the high school to middle school age. And so, for instance, if a guy or a girl starts dating another guy or a girl, they start talking about that person all the time, right? If this guy is dating a girl, all of a sudden all of his friends get tired of this girl because all he talks about is this girl. So a lot of times what is in our heart and what we are focused on, it overflows in the rest of our life. And not only does it overflow into social media, but it overflows into every single area we are involved in. So it overflows into the sports we play. It overflows into our schoolwork. I might be listening to this song by Imagine Dragons while I'm trying to do homework because I love it so much. It overflows into conversations. It overflows into family time. When I loved basketball a ton, I would purposely get away from my family and miss out on family time because I was trying to play basketball more. And so when we have something that our heart is desiring and is focused on and is just like, oh my goodness, I love this.